Reagan in '84, Biden in 2022, 2023, both using humor to deflect questions about their age. Was it effective for Reagan, and could it be here for Biden?
Sure, it was effective for Reagan. In fact, I knew Fritz Mondale, his opponent, and he told me years later, and you just saw the clip right there, that after Reagan made that joke, Mondale knew how effective that would be, and he said to himself, any chance I had of winning the presidency just ended with Reagan making that joke and connecting.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, there's a long way to go to Election Day 2024, but we could be headed for the first presidential rematch since 1956. You pointed this out on Twitter. What could history tell us then about what a rematch looks like in 2024, understanding there are an incredible set of variables in this specific race?
Well, I think historically, you begin with the fact that if you and I were talking, and I wish we had, let's say about the 18th of January, 2021, which would have been, 12 days after the January 6th insurrection. Republican leaders, including Kevin McCarthy, had denounced Trump. Lindsey Graham had said it had gone too far. There was every expectation that the Republicans, as the law and order party, might have said, Trump did some things we like, but launching an insurrection and coup d'etat to derail the results of the 2020 election, that's a deal breaker. And as you know, we know from history, a week after Joe Biden was inaugurated, Kevin McCarthy, then the Republican leader, goes down to Mar-a-Lago, photographed with Donald Trump, which essentially says to everyone, Trump is kosher again. And from that moment onward, it was as if the issue of January 6th had never happened.
I want you to talk to us a little bit about the Rose Garden campaign strategy, where we have seen it before, and if you think that is something we might see coming from the Biden team.
We've seen it a number of times in modern times where that phrase began. Rose Garden strategy was Richard Nixon in 1972, who was so far ahead of George McGovern that he not only felt that he didn't have to spend 3 months on the road campaigning hard against McGovern, but also he felt, and he found that his polls bore this out, that he was more popular if he was seen as the president who seemed somewhat nonpartisan with the symbols of the White House behind him. But a president in a close race cannot afford that. 1992, George H.W. Bush got on a train, campaigned much more strenuously than he expected, and this is going to be a close race next year, whatever happens, and especially with the age issue, I cannot imagine Joe Biden staying in the White House and governing just like a monarch.
Michael Beschloss, if I had told you, I don't know, 5-10 years ago that it was going to be Democrats who were running under the flag of freedom, under the premise of freedom, that they might actually have a chance of using freedom, of wrestling back freedom from Republicans as something that they have run on in the past, would you have believed me?
I wouldn't have believed you, and I also would have said it's long overdue, and it is. And it's been accelerated by the fact that next year you're going to have, if it's Trump versus Biden, and this is not a political comment, this is just what each of them would say, this is fact. You're going to have one party, one candidate, Joe Biden, who is in favor of our institutions and rule of law and democracy, and Donald Trump, who has already told you that if he is elected, he's going to be the enemy of those things. I will be your retribution, he said. He wants to take apart what he calls the deep state, which is the democratic process.